Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello.
Alarm bells are ringing because some massive games that we thought we'd be getting in the next couple of months are now not going to be arriving for slightly longer.
It's a shame, isn't it, in a way?
No, to be honest, I'm going to defend this, but carry on.
Well, obviously, the gut reaction is you see these games you're looking forward to, which are, by the way, the Avengers Project and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you kind of just go, oh no, I was looking forward to those, yes. Forgetting that at the end of the day, delays always make games better.
Yes, unless they're Watch Dogs, which did manage to get worse. They put a giant spider in, but the vast majority of them, it's always a good thing. I think obviously the official statements, which we'll sort of dive into a little bit, mention the need to polish the product, make sure that they're giving something that the fans deserve. Both of these games, I would say there's more riding on Final Fantasy VII, considering the legacy of that title versus another superhero game.
Right.
I just think there's more for that to live up to. But weirdly, Final Fantasy is only being delayed by 1 month.
Yes, it's
April
been
something.
delayed from March 3rd to April 10th, whereas the Avengers has been delayed from May 15th all the way back until September 4th, 2020.
That makes me think, in Final Fantasy VII's case, that it's a case of polish. It's just a case of, they outline this, they mention that they're just looking at different bugs and making sure it's ready. But in terms of the bulk of what that game's offering, obviously it's all feature set. Everything is about to go to retail. Because they did have certain events set up that were going to be in the near future. We know that the demo leaked, for instance. And assumedly that's still going ahead and they want to polish whatever's after the events of the demo.
Yeah, a month delay in video game terms isn't sort of, that big of a deal. It's not much that they can do other than polishing up core parts. And I think that is the way that developers and publishers should go about it, because although it kind of sucks as a gut punch reaction, it's going to make the game better, and it's going to mean that we're not going to have these massive day one patches. It means that the launch window isn't going, fingers crossed, hopefully isn't going to be plagued by people going, oh, is this it? Why is this broken? Why doesn't this work? Why isn't this what I have waited my entire life for, perhaps, looking forward to. So, like you said, there's so much riding on Final Fantasy in particular, and I would argue the Avengers as well, but people and fans, and people who aren't fans, have, high expectations for it. They have a vision of what this game is in their head, and if the team needs more time to realize that, fair enough, a month.
So let's parallel across to the Avengers one, which, like you said, is multiple months. That seems like something that is more maybe feature-based, or they want to rejig the way maybe the online component works. They haven't really been that, they haven't really described exactly what that game is fully yet, but you seem to have things.
It's funny.
Good to
I've got a press release from the co-heads of Crystal Dynamics, and they say, quote, "When we set out to bring you the vision for Marvel's Avengers, we committed to delivering an original story-driven campaign, engaging co-op, and compelling content for years to come. To that end, we will spend this additional development time focusing on fine-tuning and polishing the game to the high standards our fans expect and deserve." So the way they're framing it is sort of like it's just polishing, but a move from May to September. That's a huge,
I wonder,
delay it.
Based on the fact that we know the next generation's coming, we know that, you sort of, if you read the road, you read the terrain as to people's general attitudes towards loot grindy systems and level-based stuff, and that sort of approach to designing an open world platform for content. I think that considering that they've sort of teased the idea of an online, the online mode for this is all these different combat scenarios where you're going up against high-level enemies and you need to grind your ass off to be able to fight them and things like that. That makes me think that maybe they're looking at that and going, we need to sort of tweak this in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted about it, because it's like you said, it's a weird model that they've got where it is, like they said, a story-driven game, and yet they've got this live service platform that they're crafting where they're going to be able to plug in new missions and new villains and new characters that extends the lifespan. But we don't know whether that's going to work as a sort of grindy thing, as a sort of Destiny thing, or something new. And that is going to be a tough balance to get, and I think that closer we get to the next generation of consoles, the better that transition might be, because if we pick this up now and then the next gen comes around, we might get sick of it, or we might get, it might not work to its full potential, and then that roadmap or whatever might not be realized. We've seen that so many times in games like Anthem, and I'm not saying that the Avengers is going to be Anthem, but we've seen so many developers plan for the future and then not be able to deliver on that. And I feel like if the Avengers released now and it wasn't, great, or it was lacking in content, and then the next generation generation of consoles came around, people might just drop off.
Well, it's hard, right? I mean, like we know the Xbox is coming. The Xbox Series X is coming at the end of this year. We don't know about the PS5 yet, although it seems like Sony are going to be dropping some sort of reveal event in February.
Yeah, holiday 2020, I think.
Yeah, and it's like the closer you get to the end of the year for the new systems, how much is that a sort of generally it's only perceived as like a clean slate wipe, and then we don't know about. I mean, we know that the Xbox One games will work on the Series X, but we don't know about the PS5 yet. So like the closer you get to the new consoles, it's like how much do people assume that the games that they just had are now irrelevant? It's like trying to balance those two things can be quite hard.
What's funny, I think, is that although Square Enix have just delayed these two games, they're not the only publisher that's done this. Ubisoft had a whole bunch of titles planned for the first half of 2020, including Gods and Monsters and a few other titles that
I think Watch Dogs got delayed.
I think Watch Dogs did get a bit of a delay that have been pushed back, to the end of the year alongside Avengers now in September. So I wonder if those looming new consoles have been a kick up the arse for a lot of the publishers and developers to think, look, are we best served releasing our games now at the tail end of a generation, or should we perhaps hedge our bets? And if the next machines are heavily relying on backwards compatibility, get both audiences in there.
They can go across both. I mean, the thing is, like, looking at this, I'm glad that things are being delayed. For me, it hopefully points to a future where, because if there's one thing that encapsulates this past generation, the one that's coming to a close, it is games being kicked out the door as quickly as possible to cash in as fast as possible. And there's a million developer story, just development hell stories of just not being able to have enough time to turn things around. And obviously the biggest culprits are the likes of EA and Activision, just wanting to just get stuff out, meet the financial window, just let us cash in as soon as possible. And I hate all that. I think that that's one of the biggest black marks on the industry overall. And it is interesting that it lines up with the year that we're getting new systems, whether that's like developer pressure on talking to publishers and just saying, look, overall this costs you money. Something like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, barely had a week on sale before it completely fell off the charts. Ubisoft apologized for it and said they would bring it back later. So for me, I'm looking at this stuff and just assuming that it's only going to point to a future where release dates are more considered.
I feel like we've all been that, the Aaron Paul meme from Breaking Bad where he's crying and he's saying, they can't keep getting away with it. I feel like that's been us for the past year. And now the publishers have finally realized we can't keep getting away with it. It does feel like there has been a shift towards quality, or at least, the ambition of trying to attain that quality. And I think, like you said, that can only be a good thing for the industry as a whole. But especially, you mentioned that Final Fantasy VII is a big deal. I'd argue that Avengers is even bigger in terms of where Marvel is in the gaming space, because they came out there a few years ago and they said, we're making these big deals with publishers, we're finally going to do our licenses justice. And then we got Spider-Man, and that was an absolute home run and everyone loved it, and it sold like hotcakes. And then the Avengers trailer dropped and we were all quite excited, but we weren't sure about what it was. We weren't sure about the character models. Is it boring?
I'm not going to lie, JB, I don't care about it.
Well, this is it. I think a lot of people either don't care or are cautiously optimistic or are sort of in this in-between space. And this extra time, hopefully, will allow Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics to, win everyone over and say, this is going to be another bold step forward for Marvel and their brand, and we're going to do it justice, and you're going to bloody love it.
Maybe they'll, think of something that's a new gameplay mechanic. Maybe they'll do something that's more interesting. That's a topic for a different video. I thought we should recap the stuff that is now the gaming calendar as it now stands.
Because it's still packed.
It's ridiculous. Initially everything was in March, now most things are in April. So April now, as it stands, at time of recording, unless anything else gets delayed, we have Resident Evil 3, the remake, on April 3rd. Final Fantasy VII remake is now coming April 10th, and Cyberpunk 2077 is on April 16th.
I don't think I could do that.
2-week block.
I can't do it. Right? I've been looking forward to, my head's going to explode right now. I was so looking forward to Final Fantasy VII remake, and now that it's coming 6 days before Cyberpunk, and 7 days after Resident Evil,
and a month before The Last of Us 2.
How is a boy supposed to fit it in?
I don't know. I mean, we thought that we wanted. The thing is, do they not realise there's more months in the year?
You know what I find really funny?
Go on.
Is that obviously the cram used to be the holiday period, and everyone used to try to kick their games into October and September and November, and then everyone decided to not do that. But they've gone the other way around, because everyone's decided to leave that holiday period and then cram it all in February, March and April.
Mr. Matt Booty for Xbox was saying that their whole approach to backwards and forwards compatibility relaxes the generational shift and allows some more freedom as to when the focused windows of release should be across the year. Now, I'm all for that. I think stuff should release across the whole year because, we're gamers. We play things across the whole year. It should be a constant rollout. And like you said, it's an old school mentality to go like, okay, well, holidays coming up, save it for then. But that just means that everything just clashes instead. It's a wider sort of conversation, but like, I mean, yeah, I was going to say things like this. They have more than enough games to scatter across the year, but I have to hope that in regards to when they've moved these things to, Avengers has been pushed into September, everything else is still in the first half of the year. Maybe that just means that they have even more stuff coming towards the second half, or they're getting the hell out the way because the new consoles are arriving later on.
That is also it, I think, because obviously, you know, there are so many games we don't know about, so many launch titles, presumably from Microsoft and Sony, that are going to be massive, massive hitters, and you don't want games like this to be competing with them. Something like the Avengers, I think, can stand toe-to-toe through name brand alone, but I do feel like that is perhaps why we've seen such a rush to get the game out in either March or April of this year, just to, you know, have a nice little window and to get away from this upcoming Hollywood holiday rush, because that's going to be absolutely mad, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, and I'm a bit worried because these games are designed to be, you know, like these live services.
40, 50 hours long.
You're supposed to log in, 40, 50 hours long, log in every single day, do your daily challenges. You can't do that when there's 20 of them at the same time.
Speaking of things, I mean, we can do a separate whole video on this. Things that the industry needs to learn going forward. It's that we don't have infinite time. Not even us.
No.
Everybody. Nobody can do dailies for every single game, every single day. It doesn't work. It's not feasible. It's not sustainable.
No, it stresses me out so much. When I was saying that 20 seconds ago, I bit my tongue and now it really, really hurts.
Good. Well, but yeah, I mean, considering the state of delays, it seems like at least these games will turn out better because they've been given more time in the oven. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. Are you gutted with Final Fantasy VII or the Avengers? For now, though, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
I'll catch you next time. Bye.
I almost said I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com.
We're all Scott from WhatCulture.com.